All right, good evening, Council. We'd like to call the meeting for November 14th to order. First order of business tonight is a moment of reflection. We'll start with a moment and then we'll carry on to the approval of the agenda. So let's start with a moment of reflection now. All right, thank you. So carrying on to the approval of the agendas, we have a consent agenda. Is there anyone wishing to pull anything from the consent agenda? Councillor Monteith? Is that a motion? Motion to approve? There was some good information on there that I thought we should highlight perhaps, but we can always do that at a later date. I think as the results of the appeal. I think that was in there, correct? Yes. So good information to highlight for everyone. You can read it at your leisure, of course. And some thank yous and some information from Fortis. So motion to approve the consent agenda is on the floor. If there's no further discussion, call it the question. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. And carrying on to the regular meeting agenda, I've heard of we'd like to pull the land sale and legal item out of the first in camera and add that to a second in camera after the bulk of the meeting. So we'll leave the one personnel item for in camera under point F and move the other two down to the last order of business in our agenda. Anyone prepared to make a motion to approve the agenda with that edit? Councillor Hanniger makes the motion. Call a question. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. And tonight we are very pleased to welcome two new members to our council. We would like to begin the proceedings of swearing in of Aaron Poitras and Christina Fox. And we definitely want to already thank them for their willingness to let their name stand and successfully won in the by-election. So we will carry on with proceeding to do the swearing in, and directly after that, we will acknowledge the council covenant that we have as our council, which is a provincial mandate that we have, such as CEO Council Code of Conduct. So we will highlight some of those things as well after our swearing in ceremony. So I'll pass it over to Kevin Wright, who is going to do the swearing in for us tonight. He is acting commander for the RCMP detachment in Fort Macleod. And I want to thank him for coming out tonight. And I believe we will start with Christina Fox. After you're done the oath, then we'll allow you some time for your speech. I'm kidding.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay, so can you repeat after me, Christina? I, Christina Fox, do swear that I will diligently,
I, Christina Fox, do swear that I will diligently,
faithful, and to the best of my ability, execute according to the law,
faithfully, and to the best of my ability, execute accordingly to the law,
the office of Councillor of the Town of Fort Macleod for the municipality of the Town of Fort Macleod, so help me God.
the office of Councillor of the Town of Fort Macleod for the municipality of the Town of Fort Macleod, so help me God.
All right. Thank you. And next up, Aaron Poitras. After the signatures. Thank you.
I, Aaron Poitras, do swear that I will diligently, faithfully, and the best of my ability, execute according to the law
I, Aaron Poitras, do swear that I will diligently, faithfully, and to the best of my ability execute according to the law
the office of Counselor of the Town of Fort Macleod for the municipality of the Town of Fort Macleod, so help me God.
the office of Counselor of the Town of Fort Macleod for the municipality of the Town of Fort Macleod, so help me God.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin, for doing that for us tonight. And Kevin just shared with me, he's been acting commander in the town of Fort Macleod, but got news that he will be moving from this post within the next month. So it's a little bit of a short stint, but already we appreciate what you've helped us with in the short time you've been here. So look forward to hearing from your replacement. Thank you for that, and thank you, Aaron and Christina, for signing that tonight. The council covenant, I'd like to just emphasize together, it's something we all do appreciate. I know I think this was developed in our last term, and just helps us understand what our role is. Our CAO also has his part that he's signed as to his responsibility to the town of Fort Macleod. I'll just highlight this one for everyone quickly, and then we can go from there. So we as members of council will carry out our responsibilities as set out in the applicable legislation to the best of our abilities. We'll develop policies and programs for the town of Fort Macleod that are necessary or desirable for all or part of the town. We'll regularly evaluate the policies and programs of the town. Will not exercise a power or function or perform a duty that is assigned to the Chief Administration Officer or a designated officer. Will review the background information and advice made available to us by administration prior to rendering a decision. Will seek further input when we are unsure of the issues associated with a particular course of action or uncertain as to relevant factors that might impact our decision-making. Will refer any complaints, either written or verbal, about the actions of administration to the CAO for review and comment and follow-up, where appropriate. Will refrain from making any commitments on behalf of council to individual citizens or groups, other than to take the request up with council or the CAO and to respond appropriately. Will participate in council's decision-making process, will refrain from making disparaging comments and comments in public administration or regarding public administration, will act as good stewards of the town, will maintain high standards of ethical conduct, will provide effective leadership by establishing annual or longer-term goals and priorities, and will ensure that we formally and in writing evaluate the performance of the CAO at least once annually. And this will be signed by our current council dated November 14, 2022. All right, so that is all regarding the oath of office. I do, if you want to have an opportunity to say anything, you're more than free to now. Otherwise, we'll carry on with the rest of the agenda. Very good. So if there's none, that's good. We do welcome them to council and look forward to having some good discussion, debates, and doing our best for the town of Fort Macleod. So on the agenda, we have a recess. Do we want to do that now? Just for... Okay. So we are going to do a quick in-camera. So I'll ask council for a motion to go in camera. So there'll be a recess for those in the gallery. It shouldn't take us more than 5 minutes. So hopefully everyone could take a quick recess and we'll be back before we get into the rest of our discussions tonight. So we'll call for a motion for an in-camera for one personnel item. Councillor Monteith makes a motion. All in favor? Carried. Yeah, sorry, we'll go to the other room beside. If everyone wants to stay seated, that works too. Sorry. All right, thank you. Motion to come out of in camera. Who wants to make their first motion? Councillor Poitras makes the motion. This is for the records. Call out the question. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. For the good of council is an opportunity for council to share highlights that they've would like to inform all of council regarding and the public. Does anyone have something they'd like to share for the good of council? Councillor Hanniger?
Just wanted to share that the upcoming Santa Claus Parade is happening on the last Saturday of the month, and it looks like a great event. I think that committee or that group has been working really hard at bringing tourism and attraction back down to our main street. The Friday is packed full of things. I think we're serving chili and hot dogs or something. Yep, delicious food. So yeah, it looks like a great event for both Friday and Saturday, and I hope more families come out because we haven't had a Santa Claus Parade in the last few years. So very excited.
Any other comments for the good of council? Councillor Monteith?
Also, that weekend's the Rotary Community Auction for the first time in 3 years, so hopefully everyone will come out. We've had a good response from businesses in town, so we're thankful for that, so hopefully everyone comes out.
Very good. Anyone else? Councillor Fox, tell us about the firefighters' ball.
Okay, so we had the firefighters harvest ball again this past Saturday, and it went really well. We probably had about 160 people turn out. We gave multiple awards out to many different members who served from 15 years to 32, actually 37 years experience. Yeah, it was nice to have it again after a couple years of not being able to do it, and I'm also kind of glad it's over.
Very good. Last Friday night, I was able to attend the Legacy of Ireland. Sorry, that's the Friday before last, but it was a good opportunity to connect with the municipality of MD Willow Creek, their council and neighboring councils. So it was a good place to meet some of them. And wanted to highlight too that we're hoping to meet with Blood Tribe Council tomorrow for some general discussions and meet and greet. So that's the first time in my term of office to be part of a meet and greet with the entire Blood Tribe Council. So definitely looking forward to that and the opportunities that provides. So anyone else have something they'd like to share? If none, there seems to be a lot of activities in the last month and the month ahead. So keep your eye on the calendar, on the town's newsletter. I've really been appreciating the town's newsletter. It gives a lot of info and a lot of updates. I think the ball courts next door, pickleball is going good too. So I think we can hear a little bit of that already. So where's that basketball night tonight? So yeah, Councillor Monteith, you had another comment?
Just a reminder, we've got the Pathway open house on Wednesday night, so come and give your opinions.
Yeah, very good. Thanks for mentioning that. It's been a few years in the works, but I think this provides a good opportunity for people to see where pathways in town would be of value, and I'm sure Adrian's all excited about that, so we'll look forward to that. All right, if that's all for the good of council, we do want to move on to delegations, and we have a special group here tonight. We have the Fort Macleod Hospital Auxiliary here celebrating their 125th anniversary. So tonight we will be signing a bit of a congratulations certificate for them, and we'll pass that on to them tonight on behalf of the town of Fort Macleod on that anniversary of the Fort Macleod Hospital Auxiliary. And the amount accomplished over those 125 years, I don't think we will know the full extent, but some of the highlights are pretty amazing to see since 1897, right? That's a long time. Alberta's oldest, from what we know, hospital auxiliary in Alberta. Is providing a lot of different equipment and enhancements to the hospital, whether it's care beds or dental carts or machines for all different kinds of treatments, warming closets, outdoor benches, scanners, wheelchairs supporting the handy bus, um, wheelchair swings, everything. And I think it's just amazing what this group has accomplished over the years. And for that, we do want to thank the Hospital Auxiliary for all the work they do. I know it's no small amount of work. And I'm not sure how often you meet or how often you do this together, but it's a great thing that's been done here. So on behalf of the town of Fort Macleod, our council, we want to congratulate you and thank you for all you do. And I know the certificate is just a small token of appreciation, but we do want to acknowledge you tonight for the hard work you do. So I do think we want to take a couple pictures with the certificate. So I think we'll come up with all the council, and I'm not sure where's best to take it. We'll probably ask Frank from the Gazette to help us with that, but otherwise, look forward to doing this together. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much for that. All right, we are going to move on to new business, and we got a bunch of administrative details we'll go through first, just with our new council members, board appointments, large members at large appointments. But we'll start first tonight with the deputy mayor rotation schedule. I believe you have in your package a recommended schedule. Does anyone have any questions regarding the schedule? If there is none, anyone prepared to make a motion to approve as recommended? Councillor Fox wants to make her first motion. All right, so yeah, it's pretty straightforward, and on the agenda it'll list who the deputy mayor is at all times, so that if there is some times where I'm not able to chair or not at the meeting, then that's clear who will be taking that chair. So motion's on the floor. Call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to council appointments to boards, committees, and commissions. We do have a bit of a list to go through. Not sure exactly every time how we want to tackle these. We do have 2 council members missing tonight. I think Councillor Wolstenholme made it clear that he'd like to stay on all of his committees that he's currently on. But we can have some good discussion on that. Most times in the past, we've gone through just one by one, just making sure we're clear on it, and then we can always review it from there. So the first 3 committees are pretty clear. Going to internal committees, CAO Review Committee is all of council. Item 5 is the Council Timesheet Committee, which we have Monteith and Councillor Wolstenholme. I believe they're good with that committee. The Emergency Management Advisory Committee, that would be myself and Councillor Wolstenholme. They meet as required, so not highly. There's 2 blanks there. Does that mean we need 2 more appointments to that? Yes? Did we always need 4, or was it just kind of interesting why it would be 4, not all of council at that point if it's 4 of us? The 2 newbies. Okay, yeah, if we need 4, then Councillor Wolstenholme and myself currently, and are the 2 new council members interested in sitting on that? Okay. Sounds very good. We'll pencil that in. The Built Heritage Advisory Board meets once a month. It's an advisory board to development regarding anything in mostly in the historic district of the town of Fort Macleod. Currently Councillor Van Hangbos, and I think it was Councillor Dressler prior. I'm the alternate. There is some survey that we've been doing just to get more feedback on what it is, but I think it is good to have that position filled, at least for now. So is anyone willing and able to sit on that committee? And pretty sure Councillor Van Hangbos is fine with that one. Councillor Poitras, I was thinking that you've had some experience with being in a historic district also, right? So might be helpful to that. So, okay, thank you very much for that. Environment Committee meets again a few months of the year. Councillor Henniger is our current. I believe Councillor Edwards was the alternate before. Okay. Anyone willing to sit as an alternate on that committee? So Councillor Henniger.
I would be the alternate, and Christina Fox would be the main for that one. To
Okay.
change it up a bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Unless there's any other comments, Councillor Monteith, you got a green thumb?
It is a really fun one to be on,
Alright.
actually. Yeah.
Okay, very good. FCSS meets monthly. I believe Councillor Henniger is our current town council rep. Not sure why
yeah.
it's not listed there.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I really still enjoy being on FCSS, but if anybody else would like that, we do a lot of programming in our town, so.
I think for consistency for now, it's probably best to leave that where it is. The library board, 1 councillor. I believe that previously was Councillor Edwards. Library board meets once a month, first Tuesday at 7. Anyone wishing to rejoin? I know Councillor Monteith, you were on that board at one point, correct? Any interest in being back on that board? Okay. I don't think it's something Councillor Wolstenholme or Van Hagbos would be interested in. Anyone interested in being on the library board? Be a little bit careful, obviously, with time commitments to make sure it's balanced, but anyone willing to sit on the library board? It's evening meetings, so
I would be joining that board if somebody doesn't want to join lower down on the list on another item 22.
okay. We'll pencil that in as Councillor Henniger for now and come back. The Housing Committee, it's Councillor Monteith and Van Hagbos. I think they would. Right. Yeah, I don't know that he's attended many, if any, of the meetings. So I think it's the Housing Committee meets just to brainstorm, research, promote, engage with council, provide feedback to council. They've been instrumental in applying for grants and funding and a housing liaison worker. So quite involved committee, and housing is quite a priority for the town of Fort Macleod. I do sit on that committee through the Chamber of Commerce myself. So if you'd prefer me sitting on it as a town rep, I'm sure I could switch out with Chamber, but otherwise, if someone else would like to get involved in housing, that would be a possibility as well. Leave that one blank for the time being. We can always come back to that one. MPC, Councillor Van Hagbos, who was Councillor Dressler prior, and myself as an alternate. MPC meets most months on the third Monday of the month, depending on if there's applications. It's really reviewing applications that fit into discretionary A and discretionary B uses. Primarily discretionary B. Discretionary A wouldn't come to MPC typically. So those decisions come to MPC for review and discussion and approval. There's some members at large that sit on the group. So that's been a well-functioning committee, I would say. Anyone interested in being on the MPC? Yeah. So I don't mind moving my name into as the counselor, and then we should still find an alternate as well. So don't think Gord can sit on that one just because he would be in a position of conflict with the appeal board that he sits on. So we would need someone that would be able to sit on that one from council's perspective. So we can leave it for now. If there's some questions, Councillor Monteith, is that an interest to you, that one? No. You're so black and white. All right, we'll keep that one penciled in for now. Willow Creek Foundation, I would assume that one's good with both councillor. It's our most senior council members. I'd like to sit on the Willow Creek Foundations, and that's good. All right. Item 14, Alberta Southwest, and the other two I've been sitting on. Deputy Mayor is alternate. That sits well with me, and some of those committees are kind of aligned with times. And unless someone else wants to be on Alberta Southwest, but currently I'm chair of the Alberta Southwest, and would be happy to keep that seat if council so approves. And then going to other external committees, Chinook Arch Regional Library Board, Councillor Monteith is currently on that board. We will need an alternate. No? Okay, so cross out the alternate unless it's required by bylaw, but I doubt it. So the appeal board, Councillor Wolstenholme, I think he's good with that. Crime Prevention Advisory Committee, one councillor. That would be, can you tell us a little bit about that committee, Lisa?
Sure. That committee is a partnership with the RCMP, Citizens on Patrol, Rural Crime Watch, and town staff and one council member. And then there are members at large as well that sit on that. And primarily, we just discuss education opportunities that we can provide to residents and members of the rural community, provide information on strategies to help prevent crime, how to report crime, and then also strategies on how to work with council and town administration, and also members of the MD as well on current crime practices, and then also trends that are happening as well, and how to kind of avert those. But it's a good group. That there's about 6 of us that regularly meet, and Amanda from FCSS is also involved in that as well. But various topics come up, and RCMP really helps kind of highlight some of their biggest trends too in the community, and how as a community group we can help educate people to either avoid those issues or report them.
So what does that as needed mean? As needed, what does that mean?
I do believe we've actually moved to quarterly meetings, so it's not a regularly monthly scheduled meeting. It's quarterly, and but kind of scheduled at that meeting for the next meeting. I do believe that, yeah, just quarterly, and then it's decided each meeting when the next one will be.
I don't mind sitting on that board if council so inclines. I think that would be, I think over the last little while, I've been a little bit more contact with the RCMP, whether it's commander or the acting corporal. So, unless someone else is inclined.
I'd be okay with that one.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll maybe pencil the 2 names in for now, and we'll keep going down the list and see where things land all over. Cultural Heritage Tourism Alliance. Councillor Henniger, you're good with that one?
Good with that one.
Diversity and Inclusion Committee. Lisa, are you involved in that one? And I'm not sure how often they've met. I've not seen one.
We've actually not met most recently since Amanda has started. I think we've had only 2 meetings, but they are on the docket to be scheduled again in the new year, and to try and get that group kind of up and running again. We did have some grant dollars before that have been spent, so really in order to do a lot more we have to look for a few more grants and see if we can't get some funding, but we are open to meeting them again. We discuss lots, whether it's including handicap entryways into buildings, or trying to figure out a way to get some accessible stuff at our playground so that those that need them have more access to them, and then just inclusion and diversity throughout the whole community. So it's a great group of people, and there's about 8 good active members, and I think on the email list there's around 20 people that are part of that. So
Good. Anyone interested in that committee? Councillor Fox. Very good. Thank you. If there's no one else, then on to Empress Theatre. That one's meets monthly as well. Councillor Henniger.
Yeah, my name's in there, but I wasn't on the Empress. I'm not too sure why my name was on there. I'd just be really interested. I've worked with a few of the Empress through another board, and I've really seen and liked what they've done over COVID.
So, any thoughts on interest for that? So you were saying you would be interested in staying on that?
So I'm not on it, but I'd like to.
Right.
It does add a very busy schedule though. So if somebody else wants it, then and then if I'm joining the library board and that, then I have something almost every week all week. So. And I would love for you to take it because I think they're a fun group. So.
Okay, very good. So we'll pencil in that one for Councillor Poitras. All right, so some of these are liaison roles. So for McLeod Egg Society, it's more of a point of contact. So if they have questions and need some answers and just connections, um, we we would like them to have a council member that they can say, hey, that's who we should call. This one is Councilman Hagbos. I don't know how involved he's been. I don't think there's been too much requirement to be at meetings or not at meetings, but um, anyone interested in sitting in that role? I think some of it's just calling in on them every now and then, seeing how they're doing, seeing if there's anything that we can help with.
Just gonna make a comment. I think they've changed over with a few of their board members from what I heard from another. So yeah, it's changed up a little bit. That might be of interest to help them out a little bit.
Anyone have some interest based on some of the egg backgrounds? No one has any horses here? Like I don't mind sitting in that role too if Councilman Agbos doesn't want it. There's simple rules. It's just encouraging them to reach out if they need
I was
something.
gonna say, I can also reach out to them and just see if they're happy with the level of, you know,
Communication.
yeah, that they've had. If they want something a little bit different, then they can always approach us to ask for something a little bit more too. So I'm more than happy to make that connection.
Sure. Chamber of Commerce, similar role. I'm happy to be that for the Chamber of Commerce. I know they meet quite often with administration, so that's fine too. FMHA, from Cloud Historical Association, I've currently been sitting on that board. There is no alternate. Councillor Dressler, I believe, was the alternate prior. Good board. It's a big museum. Lots going on. Requires a little bit more attention than most committees, I think, just because of the amount of labor that they have, resources, people, things going on. And so I'd be happy to hand that over to someone if they'd like to take that on. I don't mind continuing to sit. I'm not able to make all their meetings, but I would say I attend probably 2/3 at least. Anyone interested in that? Okay, we'll move on to the Interagency Board. Councillor Monteith meets 4 times a year. I think it's a board that tries to connect the dots between a bunch of the local communities, right? Is that a board? Like some of these we can review. It says it's a board, but it's not a board, you say? It's just a casual committee. Is it something that we need, do you think, to be on? Because we already have the newsletter.
Well, it's an
and a lot of-
FCSS inspired board, I believe, so I would think it's good. Just to know what's going on and to let them know what's going on with the town.
Okay,
And it doesn't happen that often that it's a major,
commitments.
yeah.
All right. Intermunicipal Collaboration Framework, or ICF Committee. That has been myself, Councillor Dressler previous, and Councillor Wolston Home as an alternate. The province mandated ICF agreements with all neighboring communities, and we had to get them done by a certain timeline. We're done our agreements, so right now it's more a committee that if anything comes up, we should be meeting more often, but I think everyone's kind of just happy we got to an agreement, and now it's kind of waiting to see what happens next. So typically it would be the mayor and then another council member. So I'm not sure if anyone would like to sit on that. We do need to move someone into that seat. It's not a huge commitment, and they schedule it kind of as needed. Before it was a little bit more regular when we were discussing our recreational discussions back and forth. Yep. All right, Councillor Poitras volunteered for that. Thank you very much. If there's no other interests, we'll pencil that one in. IDP or Intermunicipal Development Plan is a similar committee. This one did a bit of work, so it's more regarding planning. How do we plan on our municipal boundaries? How do we resolve differences? Part of this was the CFO discussion with the MD of Willow Creek. Where would confined feeding operations be on town boundary? So most of the work, I would say, in this committee is done, would you say, Adrian? So it's more maintenance of that agreement as well. So we have myself, Councillor Van Agbos, and we would need an alternate. So that be something you'd be interested in, Councillor Poitras or Councillor Fox? Very good. Councillor Fox is an alternate. Moving on to Orsk, we should remove this one from Wolstenholme just to throw him for a curveball, hey? This one's been his baby for many years, and I think he's chair of their board currently, correct? Yeah, so better not touch that one. We'll tell him we considered it. Old Man Watershed Committee, our council, it's a group that kind of oversees the watershed for the Old Man Watershed, which goes, I think, from kind of, not sure exactly, somewhere in between Calgary and here, down south, and then close to Medicine Hat is where the watershed. So they work on little projects where they're weed control, grazing control, water troughs, just making sure the watershed is clean. So they typically give us an update once a year, just what they're doing, the information they're providing, a lot of education. So I think Councillor Wolstenholme was good with that one as well. Regional Assessment Review Board. There's a question mark behind Councillor Wolstenholme. Essentially, we've created a regional review board because we don't really need a local assessment review board. I believe that's accurate, right, Chris? So if anyone wants to challenge their assessments on their tax roll, they would submit an appeal, and this assessment review board would execute that review. I don't know that they've met in my term of council that I recall. But.
We did have an appeal this year. One of our residents did appeal, and so the regional board came and heard the appeal. Just to let anyone know, there is training because it's a quasi-judicial board, so there is provincial training that you have to take, and it's a couple of days.
And so it's a couple of days training for one appeal every year or 2 or 3. There you go.
There it is. So because we're part of a regional board, everybody puts in members from their community. We train people up and we all become part of the group, and then you get picked to go hear other people's appeals. So we haven't contributed any trained counselors to that regional board for a number of years.
I think it's a really number-focused kind of committee, so I'm really thinking Councillor Monteith would want that job. I don't know that he's done the training. No, I don't think he's done the training. That's why there's a question mark behind it.
And the training has to be done, like it expires. So you have to get retrained every, I don't know how, it's a certain number of years. I sent Miranda the information. So every 3 years you have to get retrained.
I think it'd be a great opportunity for you to help cut some red tape there too, Councillor Monteith.
Need work on that
Convincing
spiel there.
skills.
If Gord doesn't want to do it and hasn't done the training, I will do it.
See, I told you it worked. All right, we'll pencil Councillor Monteith's name in there. Regional Waste Management Facility Authority Board. This is another one of Wolstenholme's, Councillor Wolstenholme's passions, I would say. He enjoys being on this board to kind of see how the regional waste. So we're part of a regional waste management group, and that's where our waste is taken in Woodhouse, Alberta. And so this board, I believe, is a government body that makes sure that we have enough landfill space and so on for the landfill. So yeah, we do need an alternate. So I believe I was an alternate for a time. I can't remember.
Why do we need an alternate? Because if you go there once, you have no idea what's going on. So what value is there for you being there?
That's
I don't
true.
understand these alternates on some of these boards because you're not going to contribute anything because you don't know anything about them, you know?
Well, I think in the event, say that Council Wolstenholme can't make 2 meetings or something, then at least someone's approved to be there. Otherwise, no one's approved to be there on behalf of the town of Fort Macleod. So I think it's better to have an alternate and to be able to use it if we need it, rather than not have an alternate and not be allowed to share the voice of the town of Fort Macleod if we do need to for some reason. So anyone passionate about waste and how we manage our waste? Yeah? All right, Councillor Poitras. What's his name down to that one? I think your wife's probably watching just to make sure she knows what she's getting herself into. Kidding. All right, and the rest of the documents are mostly just some more details on the boards and all that kind of information. So do we have to backtrack to some? Go ahead.
Just for environmental committee, it says hospital and it did last year. They meet at the library or it's via Zoom. And it's been that way this last year.
All right, Lisa, I believe you've been taking notes. What are the gray areas that we need to go back to?
Just want to confirm that Councillor Henniger is still good with the FCSS, because there was a possibility of it changing.
Yeah,
And then the
I
library.
think I was just having a sidebar with Christina about library board, or if there's FCSS and if either new councillors wanted those. Again, I really, really enjoy FCSS. It is a time commitment. The meetings can go a little longer. It's not just an hour meeting. So I like that for transparency. But then I did say the library, I've been going there quite a bit this year with my little one. So I think being involved on that level would be fun too.
So you're suggesting you're okay with both of those? Yeah, if somebody wanted one. Okay. Does anyone want to steal that from Councillor Henniger? Any other gray areas?
Just the housing committee, if Councillor Van Hugenbos didn't attend, if we need to pick somebody else to try and attend those more regularly. And then I think the rest are just confirming with Councillor Wolstenholme that he's happy to stay on those boards, and then that will have to wait till another meeting.
Yeah, I think we need crime prevention. I think we had 2 names under that one. Crime prevention. So let's discuss, the housing committee. Anyone else have interest on that committee?
I would be interested in that one if Marco doesn't want it.
Put Councillor Fox in as a possible second. So library and FCSS we're good on then? Councillor Fox? Okay. We're gonna put Christina Fox under the library, is that correct? Very good. All right, we're gonna go to crime prevention, just to go back to that one quick. Myself and Christina Fox were both interested. Thoughts on that one, time-wise? Is it I wouldn't say they're long meetings. Is there any involvement with the crime prevention task force? No, it's strictly just more, yeah, strictly to do with how to communicate crime, and that feedback is coming from the RCMP at that committee. Okay, I'm fine with, if you're good with that one still. Okay. Pardon?
And say if you both wanted to attend the next meeting and then make the decision after that, I don't think that would be a problem either.
Yeah, and like overall, that's fine. But put Councillor Fox in for now, and then I wouldn't mind sitting in on one to see what the discussion looks like. Does that cover everything then? Did we get the alternates for the forts? Yeah, and the fort, I think we need a little bit more. Oops. Yeah, Councillor Poitras. Adrian, you had a comment?
Yes, sorry, just wanted to clarify the Municipal Planning Commission. Are we confirmed that we're moving yourself as regular member?
Yeah, we did not confirm that yet, so we should do that now as well. Okay, so I think the forts we're good on. Municipal Planning Commission, any more thoughts on that? It's typically what, a 1 hour to 2 hour max, I would say. It's depending on how many applications are on the agenda. Some can get a little bit back and forth with some more discussion, so I'm happy with staying as an alternate for sure. If someone would like to sit on that. Councillor Monteith, come on. I'm gonna try a little bit more convincing. Any other questions regarding that one? We should have an alternate for sure. Otherwise, if one of council members is not in attendance, then they can't have a meeting, which can delay development as well. Did you say that out loud?
I could be an alternate if you need one and no one else wants to put their name forward for that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other volunteers? Okay. Seeing none, then I think that, yeah, as long as we have an alternate, if I or Marco have to declare a pecuniary or a conflict, then we can always switch out, right? So, okay, so Councillor Hanniger volunteered to sit an alternate. Does that cover everything then?
I think so, and I think once Miranda can update the list, she can send it out, everyone can review it, and then if there's any errors or we need to change anything, we can address that at the next meeting as well.
Very good, thank you. Thank you, Council. That's probably the biggest job of the year, is just getting through council appointments. No, it's top on the list though. We will move on in our agenda. Oh, sorry, we should probably have a motion to that first, hey? Yeah, motion to approve upon confirmation of appointees, the list as discussed. If that works, then yes, that's fine. I don't think there's any time-sensitive committees, perhaps. Sure. Yeah, and just for some of the appeal boards and the official committees, they do need motions from council confirming, and I don't know that there's any that are changing that would affect any of those boards. Yeah, and myself, Alberta Southwest, for example, and so on. Okay, all right, so we'll wait for the list to come back, and we'll have a final discussion and approve it at our next meeting. All right, moving on to new business item 3, members at large appointments to boards and committees. I believe we have 2 tonight. We have an environment committee and the MD of Willow Creek Library Board. Anyone prepared to make a motion? We'll go one by one on these. Environment Committee appointing Mr. John Austin to the Environment Committee. I believe he sat on that board before. Anyone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Poitras makes that motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. And for the MD Willow Creek Library Board, Valerie Kostolensky. This would be the MD's recommendation for the library board.
Just to clarify, it's the MD's rep for our library board, not the
Right.
MD's library board.
Okay, so it's still Fort McLeod's library board, but it's the MD of Willow Creek's referral for our library board. Anyone prepared to make a motion to that end? Councillor Fox makes that motion. If there's no further discussion, call to question. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. We did have a third member at large appointment, and we will defer that to our CEO to discuss with the applicant on that application. Is that fair, Anthony? Very good. Moving on to tax incentive application, we have Moj Holdings and our Director of Finance, Chris Holbeck, would like to speak to this.
Good evening, Council. As you can see, our applications for our intake for the tax incentive program for the 23, 24, 25 cycle continue to roll in. I know for new councillors, our tax incentive bylaw is bylaw 1960, and I'm sure the mayor expects you to read all our bylaws, so that's a fun one. So 1960 explains the tax incentive program for the town of Fort McLeod. Our deadline is October 1st of this year for the incentive, which would start in 23. However, some businesses just aren't paying attention or reading my letters. So we try to send them reminders and reminders. So we're going to get dribs and drabs of new applications as we roll into the 2023 year. Moj Limited is one of them. I have also had a conversation with people at McDonald's, and they are sending one in for the start of next year too. And one more business in town has contacted me. So try as we might to get everybody to follow our deadline in the bylaw. It's really hard. So we just try to get as much uptake as we can from the business community and try to be as flexible as we can with accepting these applications. So tonight, it is a tax incentive application for the 23, 24, 25 fiscal years. And it is with Moj Holdings Limited for 1011 Sergeant Wild Road. And they have sent in their application, paid their application fees. Their application was complete. So administration is here tonight to recommend that council directs administration to enter into a tax incentive agreement with the business for the 3-year term. And I'll take any questions if you have any.
All right, we'll start with asking council if anyone's prepared to make a motion as per the recommendation. Councillor Monteith makes a motion. Anyone have any questions for administration? I think if you go through the tax incentive bylaw, it's pretty detailed. It's a pretty tight bylaw as well. And the application's pretty tight, making sure everything. I think the history of the town of Fort McLeod, we had a business tax incentive bylaw a number of years back, but through a municipal inspection, it was discovered that it was not done according to the MGA and needed a lot of fine tuning. So it was put on hold until we could get it refined. And now this is a refined bylaw. I think it's been in place for 3 years. and has had some good success. So this is essentially a bylaw to show some consideration for those investors that have invested large investments in the community, and after that it goes back to regular tax like anyone else. So if there's no questions, the motion is on the floor. If there's any debate, we can have debate now. Otherwise, I'll call up the question. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to item 5, 2023 Fortis franchise fee, and our Director of Finance, Chris Holbeck, would like to speak to this as well.
Thank you, Mayor Fader. So the town of Fort Macleod has franchise agreements with Fortis Alberta for our electric distribution and with ATCO Gas for our gas distribution in the town of Fort Macleod. They hold the franchises to provide those services to our residents. As such, the town sets a franchise fee, which is charged if you've ever looked at your electrical or gas bill. There's a franchise fee that comes to the town of Fort Macleod, and it's a percentage of the transmission and distribution revenues. And council sets that amount. So the amount gets billed to the customers and the customers pay it. And then Fortis Alberta pays it to the town as our franchise fee. That's in our agreement. And the franchise fee is to compensate the town of Fort Macleod for those underground utilities being in our alleyways and in our right-of-ways. So it's compensation for the town for allowing those companies to use our spaces. Currently, so tonight we're talking about the Fortis Alberta franchise fee. Currently, our franchise fee is at 15%. The maximum that any municipality in the province of Alberta can charge is 20%. So we are at 15%. It has been at 15% since we signed the agreement with Fortis Alberta in 2017. So it's not gone up. I like to give council some comparatives of other communities and the franchise fees that they charge their residents on their bills. And it's quite a wide gamut of rates. And everybody's got their own reason for picking the rate that they pick to charge their residents. Ours is at 15%. And in my recommendation tonight, I just stated that we've never raised it since 2017. I don't see a need this year to raise it, especially with inflation in the economy and all the other things that we could talk about. So my recommendation tonight is for 2023 that we leave the franchise fee with Fortis Alberta at 15%. And I'll take any questions again if council has any.
You making a motion, Councillor Monteith?
I will make the motion, yes, but I have a question too.
Sure. And
Do you remember how much we got the first year of the Fortis agreement?
So I'm not sure. Are you talking about the franchise fee or when we
Yes,
sold the
franchise fee.
I don't know off the top of my head. Sorry, Councillor Monteith. It hasn't increased substantially over. Well, I think it maybe has with commodity rates increasing and the growth in the town, but I don't have those numbers in front of me. Sorry.
Okay, I thought your memory was flawless. Sorry.
sorry. Yeah, I was curious. So it's based on revenue. So if electrical rates, for example, double, then our revenue would increase accordingly, correct? So the 15% is based on the revenue that they receive. So if commodity prices, electrical rates go up, something that we don't set, then the revenue for us, for the town of Fort Macleod, also goes up?
Yes, so it's, the 15% is calculated on the transmission and distribution revenues that Fortis Alberta receives, and that's based on commodity prices. So if there's growth in our town and there's more customers, or if commodity prices go up, then that number gets higher. So they do estimate, they forecast it out, and there should be an increase this year even without increasing the franchise fee past 15%.
Right, so if this revenue went, say, something crazy, 600,000 all of a sudden, then we would have the choice to reduce the franchise fee if we think that's causing more inflationary costs to our residents.
Oh my gracious. So council knows this franchise fee comes back to you every year. So, yeah, we're locked in for the year because they have to, Fortis or Atco Gas has to advertise it, make sure that everybody knows if the rates are changing. I think it's more of an issue if the rates are increasing versus if the rates are decreasing, but they do have to know because they are legislated by the Alberta Utilities Commission too.
Okay. Councillor Monteith?
In the big picture, what we charge for the franchise fee is just another tax on our residents. So whether it's an increase in property tax, it's an increase in the franchise fees because utilities are going up, it all in the same thing. So if we're making more on the franchise fee, it means we have to increase the property tax less. So it all depends on which way you want to look at it.
Yeah. Very good. Any other questions regarding the franchise fee? If you ever want a tutorial on the Alberta Utility Commission or something, that's a whole fun discussion, but it's not something that we're too involved in anymore since we've sold our utility. But before that, there was quite a bit of discussion on how that all worked. So if there's no further discussion on this, we'll call the motion to question. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. The motion to approve the franchise fee at 15% for 2023 has been approved. All right, moving then to item 6, an ACP grant application, and our Director of Operations, Adrian Pedro, will speak to this.
Good evening. Yep. Good evening, Council. So fairly straightforward submission tonight. The province has released another round of Alberta Community Partnership funding. So much like the grant that we applied for earlier this year for the Stormwater Management Plan, we are hoping to be successful once again, this time for the Regional Transportation Plan. If we did happen to get this plan, it would be quite advantageous to us, especially given our growth pressures in town. So we need to apply by early December, and we would need a council motion to submit with that application. So that's what we are looking for tonight. Some history on this grant. It is fully funded, so the town would not have to contribute anything, which is a great benefit to us. So yeah, that being said, just looking for council's support to move forward.
Thank you very much. Anyone prepared to make a motion as per the recommendation? Councillor Poitras makes a motion. Any questions regarding the subject matter? So I was curious, Adrian, like we're applying for this. What does that look like for the MD of Willow Creek, for example? Like, I think we know what our transportation kind of needs are regarding the highways through the community, but how would that regional approach work with the MD?
Right, so a couple notes there. We would look at any intersections within the MD that are just outside the town boundary. Ultimately, any sort of development in town would have some sort of impact on those intersections. I would note, though, that we have reached out to the MD. They are unsure whether they want to partner with us on this or not. Apparently, they are going through their own transportation plan right now. So in the event that they don't partner with us, we actually do need a partner for the grant. So we're going to be reaching out to other smaller municipalities, Claresholm, Nanton perhaps, and see if we can work with them on that.
with the primary focus of how the Highway 2 perhaps situates in our communities or broader primary, secondary highways?
The scope would be determined. To look at something like the highway bypass would eat up a lot of that grant funding. So we would strategically pick which projects we would look at, but
Okay.
yeah,
And you're comfortable with another plan?
absolutely.
How many plans do we need?
Quite.
Okay, so administration agrees we need lots of plans. No, that's good. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, we will call it the question. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. And lastly, land sales and a director of operations, Adrian, would like to speak to this as well.
Yeah, this one was put in place assuming that the initial in-camera item was.
Do you want to
had
do
taken
that
place,
after the in-camera then?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Okay, so we'll move that one to after the in-camera. Based on that, that concludes the public portion of our meeting for tonight. I'll request a motion from council to go in camera, and we'll do that land and one legal item, followed by the one regular council meeting land item after that. So, anyone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Monteith makes a motion. Call the question, all in favor? Thank you very much. All right, thank you, everyone. Have a great evening. Thanks for coming out, John.